All right. I think we're ready to begin. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City Council meeting of May 19th, 2020. It is 6:02 p.m. All council members, are they in attendance? Do we have Angie here? Oh, there's Angie. Hi, Angie. Okay. So we're all here. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance by me, and then we'll have a prayer by Councilwoman Petty. Please stand. Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we come before thee today with gratitude for the many blessings that thou hast given us. We're so grateful that we're able to meet together as a council and as a city, that we can discuss things that are important to us, that we can make our city grow and thrive. We ask a blessing upon all of our military personnel, our firefighters, and our sheriffs, that they will be watched over and blessed as they protect us. And we ask a blessing upon this great nation, that we will be able to continue to enjoy our freedoms. We ask that we'll be able to have open hearts and minds as we discuss everything that is relevant for us tonight. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilwoman Petty. All right. To begin with, we'd like to give you a coronavirus update. And this is a little bit long, so bear with me. So Governor Gary Herbert issued an executive order last week, moving much of Utah, including Davis County, to low health risk status, or yellow, effective May 16th through May 29th, so the next 2 weeks. The color-coded phased guidelines have been updated to include detailed considerations for faith groups, returning to in-person religious services, provide guidance on arts and entertainment, institute protocols for continuing driver's education, and clarify requirements for K through 12 school operations for the 2020-21 school year. Also included in yellow phase are competitive sports with specific guidelines. No more than 50 persons may gather in a group, and water parks begin to open with strict regulations. There will be a briefing streamed live by Governor Herbert and Dr. Angela Dunn tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. And that's on www.facebook.com/gov, Gary, Herbert. So if you want to view that. Last week I spoke about the HERO project put on by the U of U. It will include subjects from 8,000 households from 2 areas in South Davis County and 1 area in North Davis County. This is the question Angie was asking. Study officials will knock on doors of every home in those areas, leave information, and then if members are willing, they leave the information to go to be tested at a certain location. So that's how that's going to work, and we don't know where those areas are yet. Oh, thank you, Quinn. I forgot. I stood up to give the Pledge of Allegiance and cut off my head. Okay. Also, Mayor Katie Witt of Kaysville, you probably all heard, and an event organizer. They planned an outdoor concert at Barnes Park for May 30th. The event organizer didn't qualify for a permit in Kaysville, but will hold the event anyway. He says rules will not be enforced for attendees. The Kaysville City staff, Chief of Police, and City Council are, according to county sources, doing everything in their power to prevent that concert. That's just for your GWIS file, I guess. And then the county, Brian Hatch from the health department says the county really can't stop the mass gathering, only punish the violations that have taken place at that gathering. So, but they're working to find a solution there. All right. Is there anything else we need to add to that, Dave?
Nope, I don't have anything else.
All right. Public comment. I think everybody knows the drill. Comments must be submitted by email to publiccomment@southweavercity.com. And you can look at the agenda for more information on that. So we'll move to our action items. And the first one is approval of the consent agenda, which consists of the check register for April and the budget to actual for March. Are there comments or questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the check register, just 2 items. On April 22nd, there is a check to Gary Archuleta for landscape repairs. Can anyone enlighten me what's that?
Yeah, as part of the South Bench Drive Phase 1 project, now Old Fort Road, there was landscaping on the property owned by Gary Archuleta and Betty Jean Spalding. And instead of having the contractor provide the landscaping repair, we worked with those 2 property owners to provide them the money, and then they hire whatever landscaping company they want to do those repairs. So they have a little bit more control and say over what happens on their property to repair it. But it's the same money that we were planning on paying to the contractor to do the work. And now instead of us paying the contractor, we're paying the property owner, who can then manage that and take care of that with a little bit more control on their personal property.
Okay. And then the other one is I missed this meeting, I think, when we addressed this, but I see the ice machine lease coming out on the 16th of April. What did we decide to do with that?
We decided to maintain it.
Does the lease end anytime soon, or do we know when it ends?
No, the discussion wasn't about the terms of the lease in terms of that ending, as much as it was, is that the value and the price that we want out of it. And the discussion was based on the research done by the fire chief, that ends up providing a solution for us that we were okay with.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's all.
All right. Any other comments?
Yeah, I've got my hand up, Mayor.
Oh, I don't
Two
see.
questions, both on the budget to actual. The water utility fund shows a $40 million water sales for the period, showing that we're $38 million above expended. Is that a typo? Or can that be explained, please?
Must be a typo. I'll have to check on it, Wayne. I haven't got an immediate answer for it, but I missed it when I was reviewing them, so I'll go in and check it, but it's just a typo on there somewhere.
It's account 5137-100.
Yeah, I know which one it is.
Okay, the other question is, there's 2 accounts that show expenditures much higher than revenue 9 months into the year. Are we going to course correct that, or what's the mission or the plan moving forward for the next 3 months to bring that into a revenue positive or neutral?
Are you, I mean, the funds, the revenues, the expenditures are higher than the revenues?
Yeah, the parks and the capital projects. Capital's $1 million over, and parks, I don't remember the number real quickly, but they both show
both of those, and I believe both of those in the original revenue side, we were going to take money out of fund balance. At least I know in capital projects, and that money hasn't come out of capital projects yet.
Is that something we do at the end of the year?
Yeah, usually just do that at the end of the year.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Then I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I think the budget actually needs to be corrected before we can actually approve it, unless somebody wants to make a motion to have it corrected.
Would you like to make that motion, Wayne?
I think we table it until it gets corrected. I'm not willing to make any motion otherwise.
Okay, then Wayne makes a motion to table it. The consent agenda, do I have a second?
I think, Quinn, are you talking?
Oh dear, it's not working, Quinn. Oh, turn up your sound. I can hear you barely. Still can't hear you.
I think your microphone setting is that it's trying to pick up from a different microphone.
All right, sorry about that.
There we go.
Yeah, I still had another thing connected in my other headset. Anyway, I'd second Wayne's motion and just ask them to bring it back next meeting with it corrected and revised.
Okay, any further comment? Okay, then I have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries, and let's move to item number 6, Resolution 2020-16, Water Service Agreement with the U.S. Department of Labor, East Bench Transmission Line Project. The Weber Basin Job Corps owns and operates its own public water system, which is delivered from the city's water system. Job Corps must bring their system into compliance with the State Division of Drinking Water by December 30th, 2020. South Weber's 2016 Culinary Water Capital Facility Plan identifies East Bench Transmission Line Project as one of the top 5 projects. The city desires to replace the current line with a more accessible, hydraulically efficient location, which would not run directly through the Job Corps campus. Job Corps proposed paying their portion of the replacement line, as well as professional services of the city's project, as an incentive to combine the projects managed by the city. The Department of Labor, the federal agency that funds capital projects for the Job Corps, has negotiated an agreement which is fiscally advantageous to the city, and the numbers and table are contained in your packet. Are there comments or questions on this?
Mayor, the Municipal Utilities Committee has reviewed this agreement and recommended it coming forward. We had no comments to that.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Windsor. Anything else? All right, then I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2020-16.
Make the motion to approve Resolution 2020-16 Water Service Agreement with the U.S. Department of Labor East Bench Transmission Line Project.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Halverson. Any further comment? Then we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Halverson.
Aye.
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 And the motion carries. All right, item number 7, Resolution 2020. Yes.
Donica Bigelow with the Job Corps wanted to be part of this agenda item and has jumped on the call here for a second. There weren't any questions for her, obviously, but I know she had a statement for the council based on the agreement.
Okay, Donica.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. And thank you guys for the opportunity just to make a quick statement to you. I just wanted to kind of explain to the council our journey at Weber Basin Job Corps. In 2016, we found that we were out of compliance with testing. We were having broken water lines on a regular basis. I want to thank the city because they have always been a good neighbor to us. The water department has come up. They've helped us troubleshoot our water problems. They've guided us in the right direction to get a resolution with Environmental Protection Agency in the state to get into compliance. So as the mayor has already talked to you guys about, we have until December 2020 to get that facility into compliance. And I do not see that that would have happened without the partnership with you. So I want to specifically thank Dave Larson. He has been awesome to work with. Brandon and Dana with Jones Engineering has been wonderful. Of course, the water department. We've just always had a good relationship with the city. And I know that you guys, I believe you guys have had to make some adjustments to your planning in order to help accommodate us. And so I just wanted you guys to know we really appreciate this, and we're looking forward to this agreement going through and having this partnership and getting our water back up to where it needs to be, safe for our campus and for our students. So thank you again for this positive vote.
Thank you, Donica. We appreciate that we're able to do this with you, and appreciate all the help that Job Corps has given to our city. Lots of volunteering with the Parks Department, and so we're glad that we can help you out, and you're helping us out as well. So we appreciate that.
I'm glad it's a win-win, and thank you again for the time tonight.
All right, thanks, Donica.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move to item number 7, which is resolution 2020-17, mutual aid agreement with Morgan Fire Department. South Weber City Fire Department is often called to assist in Morgan County. Chief Tolman has met with the new fire chief and discussed terms for a mutual aid agreement. This agreement is similar to the Mountain Green agreement and will provide the department aid at no cost or liability. Comments and questions? Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, Councilman Soderquist.
So I know there were things discussed in the past that were a concern. Is anybody able to respond to how those got resolved?
Yeah, I can talk to that. There was a period of time where the fire department in Morgan County was going through a little bit of a transition period, and they were calling upon us to head up there and assist quite regularly. There was a little bit of a concern on our side that that would be an ongoing issue. And at the time, the Public Safety Committee talked about that and said, let's approach Morgan County and put together an agreement that would compensate us for all of the time. We did not want to have a situation where our residents and taxpayers were fronting the bill for repeated and ongoing service in Morgan County. Well, it turns out that as we approached them to have that conversation, there was a change in their leadership. They have a new chief there, and since the time that the leadership has changed, the relationship has also changed. The amount of calls has significantly decreased, and the reliance on us is not the same issue that it was at the time. And so this agreement is more of a standard mutual aid agreement that we have similar to other surrounding cities, where if we go and help them, then it's our insurance for our employees and our pay and things like that. If they come to help us, then it's their insurance and their pay and things like that. We do anticipate that will be maybe a little bit more one-sided here at the beginning, simply because we have other more readily available mutual aid when we need assistance, and we are kind of the first in line when they need assistance. However, that concern from a staff level has gone away since they've reorganized and kind of solidified their service model and been able to kind of upgrade that service since the time of our concern. So that's why this comes forward as more of a standard mutual aid agreement rather than a compensation or service type of agreement.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I play devil's advocate for a second? And if that changes and we find that those calls are increasing and it becomes more of a burden to us than we initially thought, what happens then?
I think we would approach them and say that this is out of balance and that we would want more of a service agreement.
There's a 30-day termination notice in the agreement. So if that happened, we can give them a written notice in 30 days and terminate it.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
have a question if you're done.
Yes.
Um, excuse me. My concern is that I don't want this to be something, I'm all about helping a neighbor. Let me preface it with that. My concern is that we would be utilizing our resources, even though, it's been said that the amount of need has decreased. I hate to just go ahead and commit to this, knowing that it's going to be completely one-sided at this point. And so we'd be using our resources, and we don't have a large budget either to be spreading everything around. So I don't want that to affect, I mean, if our guys go on a call to Morgan and then a call comes in, then we have to rely on somebody else for our mutual aid, and our response time goes up. So I do have just a little bit of a hesitation on this particular agreement.
I had a conversation with Chief Tolman about that very type of thing. And his first comment to me in response was, it wasn't too far in our history when we were the one-sided mutual aid that was constantly needing help from others and were not in a position to really help. And he felt pretty proud, actually, that we were in a position where we could provide aid if needed for another agency that wasn't in the same position we are. But I know what you mean. I understand the idea that our taxpayers are paying for a service for another community. I would point out that for fire service, it is somewhat borderless in a lot of ways, that we take care of our own, and then when needed, we do go to other organizations and the other cities, and they come to us, and we are the beneficiaries of mutual aid frequently as well. But I understand where that concern comes from.
So this would be for firefighting and our ambulance, correct?
Yes.
It says emergency medical services. That's my only issue, is Morgan is 20 minutes away. And I understand that we're one of their closest neighbors. So I get that. I totally see where they're coming from. I just hope everybody's understanding my hesitation of that is a resource that if they get put on a call and they go out on a call, they assess it and come back, they're almost gone for an hour, where our city's uncovered too. So that's my only hesitation. But I'd love to hear everybody else's perspective.
Appreciate your concern, Angie, and I have some of the same. Councilman Soderquist and then Councilman Halverson.
So Dave, just following up on comment about, service with us and agreement with us. If they have something major, do they have agreements with anyone else, or is that just common that, Ogden or Layton, somebody else kicks in? I don't want it to just be their resources and our little city's resources that are attacking things. What's the general expectation between counties and cities and stuff?
I can't speak directly to how many agreements they have in place, but it is standard to have mutual aid agreements with many different entities. And I know Weber County has been called up into Morgan previously as well as South Ogden and others. And so we're not the only group that would respond when it's a major incident for them.
But we're the first line of support.
Yeah, simply based on proximity.
Right,
Yeah.
and this is for all of Morgan County, right? Not just Morgan City?
Correct.
Okay.
I guess I just had a little bit more of a statement maybe to help clarify it. I think this agreement is put in place. I mean, even if we didn't have this agreement and they didn't have someone to cover it, they would call us and we would probably respond anyway. This agreement, the way I understand it, covers us from a liability standpoint so that it also covers us that way. And I think without the 30-day clause, I would have a little bit harder time with it if it becomes more of a service thing where they're just calling us before they're even trying to man a fire or get something else, I wouldn't be in favor for that. But it's a liability thing, and we don't have a lot of boundaries. We would go anyway. If Layton called and they needed us, we would still go. And it's a contract to cover us liability wise. Am I wrong in saying that, Dave?
No, that's a really good point. That when calls come in, there's fire response, and there's not a lot of borders to that. It's who is there to help. But this does cover liability, and that's a really fair point.
And I think, and I'll let Wayne speak, but I think as a public safety committee, we agreed with this more, knowing that Chief Tolman did not have the concerns of this being a service type thing, which he had the concerns before. So I'll stop talking.
Councilman Windsor. Thank you, Blair.
Thanks. Yes, I agree with Blair. My first response was the mutual aspect of this agreement was in question when we first read it, based upon the previous statements that were made. But Chief Tolman, as Dave articulated, has shared with us that it's more balanced, although it may seem, like Dave said, one-sided. But to your direct question, Angie, in the agreement, it does purport that when called upon, the first thing, supposing the Chief Tolman's in charge, he has to do is determine, do we have the resources, not only equipment, but personnel? And one of the things I would expect of him to do is, if he has the resources to respond, does he still have the resource to back up the city, or is he relying upon Layton or South Ogden or others? And he has to make that call. And I think his first objective is to the safety and welfare of these citizens, even though he has the expertise to respond. So there's a hard decision they have to make, and they have to make it real quick. But we have to assume that they know their job, and they know their job well. Yeah, it's a not bitter pill, but a hard pill to swallow with regards to the mutual aspect given past performance. So we're going to have to put some faith in the staff, given that they believe that things have changed in their command structure, and that this would be more of a balanced agreement. The second part of my statement here was there are two errors, I think, syntax errors in the agreement. It might be a standard agreement, but there's a typo. If you look at paragraph 4.1, where it's talking about the two parties, there's a second line at the end of the sentence that says, or either party. That should probably say of either party or for either party. You say the same statement in paragraph 7. So Dave, would you look into that? I think that's just clerical.
If you'd like, in the motion, you could make a motion and request that those errors be fixed.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. Councilwoman Alberts.
I just had a question. How many mutual aid agreements do we have with other cities?
I don't know the exact number. I've heard Chief Tolman say in passing that we have agreements with a dozen other cities.
Okay. I echo the concerns that Mayor Joe and Angie just put out. I totally get helping our neighbor, and I don't necessarily have a problem with helping Morgan, but when I have a concern when we have so many that we're actually in other cities more than we're in our own. But I feel like I can leave that up to the Public Safety Committee to kind of speak with Chief Tolman, as Wayne had said, and make sure that we're in our own city more than we're in somebody else's city, I think.
To that point, Chief Tolman was going to be on the call tonight and provide some of those specific numbers and data. I haven't been able to reach him, so I'm not sure why he's not able to join us. I hope everything's okay. But he, again, kind of anecdotally said that we're now to the point where we're closer to once a month going up to Morgan.
Okay.
And I've heard Chief Tolman stress many times that South Weber City is their first priority. They will not take anyone over us, and they'll make sure that we're taken care of before they respond to any other city's calls. So I've heard him say that on many occasions. So. Are there other comments or questions? Okay, and do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-17?
Mayor, I'll make a motion. We approve resolution 2020-17 interlocal, is that what it's called? Mutual aid agreement with Morgan County Fire Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Do we want to put with Wayne's corrections in there?
Oh, yes.
With the grammatical corrections on paragraph 4.1 and 7.
Good job, Angie. All right.
I'll second that. Good job, Angie.
Okay. Councilman Windsor, any further comment? Then I'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
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 And the motion carries. Thank you. Item number 8 is resolution 2020-18, interlocal cooperation agreement with Davis County for dispatch services. South Weber City entered an agreement for dispatch services which expires on June 30th, 2020. On April 28th, 2020, the council determined to seek a renewal for this service. This agreement is for 1 year for $8,633.74. The price per call increased from $30.59 to $31.51, and the average calls for a 5-year span in South Weber went from 256 to 274 for a total increase of $802.70. Are there questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve resolution 2020-18.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2020-18, the interlocal cooperation agreement with Davis County for dispatch services.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll
Did I
second.
hear? Oh, thank you, Councilman Windsor. All right, any further comment? And we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Halverson.
Aye.
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 And the motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Let's move to reports. Does anyone have any new business items?
I do.
Okay,
I have a resident just wanted to announce that they are doing a graduation parade on Tuesday, May 26th at 3 o'clock. And says that seniors need to start lining up at 2 p.m. at the LDS Church on 7775 South. In registered street legal vehicles. We're capping down and decorate your car. It will be led by the fire department and the sheriff. And they were wondering if we could put this on our marquee, and I let them know to speak with Dave. Is that correct action?
yes, that is.
Haley, do they have a route so that people know where to line up?
They do, yeah. So the parade, I'm just going to read this. The parade will move east on 7775 South and then turn right onto 1900 East. It will proceed south up 1900 East as it turns into Deer Run Drive and then turning left onto Peachwood Drive. And then some safety rules. All parade vehicles must be registered and street legal. We suggest that you have a driver so you can focus on the parade. There can be no standing in truck beds in the parade. You are not allowed to throw anything. Spectators should either remain in their cars on the sidewalk or park strip on the route, and no spectators in the street.
Thank you. Councilwoman Alberts. Any other business? Okay, then we'll move to council and staff reports. I'll begin. Dave and I met with Horrocks Engineering to look over the initial analysis and preliminary alignments for the Weber River Trail through South Weber. Preferred alignments were calculated based primarily on slope, land ownership, and sensitive waters, with other factors also being considered, such as cultural archaeological sites, existing utilities, and planning and zoning. So we're about, I think, halfway through that project that was part of the TLC grants that we were awarded from the Wasatch Front Regional Council. And then also, the county received $545,000 in CDBG CV funds as part of the CARES Act to support COVID-19 related activities. I'm on the committee that determines how to use these funds. These funds will go to the Bountiful Community Food Pantry for rental, utilities, and transportation assistance, and Davis Behavioral Health for in-home mental health services and vehicles to support these services. The Davis Behavioral Health has moved from inpatient to in-home services due to COVID-19. Pre-COVID visits were to 40 a month. During COVID, that has increased to 1,100 per month. So a huge increase in services, and they need our help. That's all I have to report. Let's go to Councilman Halverson.
Nothing to report.
Okay, then Councilwoman Alberts.
Yeah, I met with the Country Fair Days this morning, and with Tawny and Vicky and Holly. They've been working really hard trying to figure out a way to see what can be done during this time in Country Fair Days. They came up with a couple of ideas and had to kind of revamp and maybe redecide. So they're meeting again and just gonna see what is available and if anything is available and worth the effort and time. And so I really wanted to make sure to applaud them for the hard work that they have done. I know that they're really trying hard to work with what they've got, and thank them for their dedication to South Beaver. So.
All right, they have a difficult decision. I listened in on that too, and they it's a hard one, but they're looking at every angle. So good luck to them.
I really think it's an important event for this community, and I really would back any decision that they make to have an event come August. I think the situation, we need to prepare for having some sort of event. This community needs that event. This community thrives on that event, and we need to give them our 100% support to be able to have some sort of event. I know we may have to modify how we go about doing it, maybe not do everything, but we need this as a community, and we need to back this committee.
Well said. Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think you should reach out to Holly Williams if you feel strongly about that and let her know. That would be great. All right. Is that it, Councilwoman Alberts?
That is it.
Hey, Councilman Soderquist.
I don't have anything new this week. Our finance admin committee meeting will take place later this week, so we'll have an update next week.
Great. All right, thank you. Let's see, Councilwoman Petty.
I have nothing to report.
All right, and Councilman Windsor.
Well, I do have something to report, so.
Go
We
for
had
it.
the Mosquito Abatement District Board meeting last Thursday. Just a few reporting items. They had one aerial application for April. Reason not more is because the plane was on the ground or grounded for service. April spray requests, fogging, if you will, are about normal. They did report the tarsalis. That's a technical name for a mosquito, by the way. I learned that. But tarsalises are coming out early. They are coming out strong, and that's due to the dry climate and the warmer temperatures. They have had some drone, they call them UAV, but drone applications. One of them nearby Hill Air Force Base in the gravel pits here in South Weaver. Speaking of that, they are looking for a UAV pilot to hire. So if you know anyone who's got a drones pilot license, they are looking for someone to man that. The drone picks up about, I believe it's like a 10-gallon bucket of pellets, and they send it out on a GPS system, and they spray the pellets, and the pellets get in the water, and it causes the larvae to not hatch in a non-technical way. So anyway, that's my non-technical report of a technical meeting.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Councilman Windsor. All right. Dave, do you have anything?
I'm just glad Wayne is the one that goes to those mosquito abatement meetings. I do want to report, I know that the council made some important changes to our development process earlier this year, and I want to report that that is working well. The staff is working with a number of different property owners right now on development concepts and ideas, and particularly one of importance that I think people are interested in. Staff has gone back and forth with the Lofts developer and their preliminary proposal multiple times. And I just want to say that it's working really well for staff to continue to work with them on code issues, prior to ever going to Planning Commission and City Council for review. That's just one example. There's other developments that the same type of thing has taken place where this development process is definitely improvement. And by the time these come to the Planning Commission and City Council, they will have been much more detailed in the review process, in the vetting process, and I think the results will be positive from a process standpoint. So I know the council made that decision earlier, and from my perspective, it is working well. I hate to think what would have happened if the initial comments that we provided to the developer had simply gone to the Planning Commission and then they would have had to handle it from there. I think that this is working quite well. So eventually these developments will get out of the staff level process and to Planning Commission and City Council, but just wanted to report that decision I think is paying fruit already, even though you haven't seen much. There's a lot of inner workings on the development side that just haven't gotten to the light of day yet.
All right. Thank you, David. That's good to hear. And take your time. So, all right. Let's see. Mark McCray, did you have anything to add?
I was just going to update you. I checked into the water thing that error on the report. We did have a billing error of billed a builder an extra $40 million. We caught it, and that the billing went out. I mean, the error occurred on the end of March, and on April 1st, we made the correction for 39 million, and some the bill should have been $20, and it went out high. When they put it in, they put the adjustment in, the correction into the system the following day, and instead of matching it up the 2 months together. So I will go back and fix that adjustment and put it in the proper month, and then you'll have a report that shows $40 million less.
So that contractor appreciates you doing that.
I'm sure. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mac. Lisa, did you have anything?
I do not have anything.
Michelle?
I do not have anything either.
Okay. I believe that's the end of reports. Do I have a motion to enter into closed session as per code 52-4-2051A for the sole purpose of discussion of the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual or individuals?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll now move to closed session.
Okay, I'm going to stop the live stream.